instead of using a sandbox, online sandbox, we will shift our focus and use uh, create React app. So create React app is also an open source project built by Facebook, and what it does is it will set up some basic boilerplate to get you started. So assuming you have Node.js installed on your device, let's get started with VS Code.
हाँ उसमें भी like I got no doubts on Discord, so I hope like कि तुम्हारा all setup is complete. If you have even if the smallest doubt, फट से बोल दो. अगर होगा so we'll take you in another meet and guide you फट से. नहीं होगा तो we'll start with the lecture. Could you just like respond with a thumbs up or something?
Again, reminder, you can use all these right here.
So I think we're getting thumbs up. मतलब हुआ है लोगों का. So I think we can proceed, Hussain.
Okay, sure. Great. So we will start by creating a new React app. So to create, I'll open my terminal, and anywhere, if assuming I have Node installed on my device, I can run npx create React app and the name of my app. So I'll name this app React to do app. And now what create React app will do for me is it will set up some boilerplate code, meaning it will create a package.json, install React and other dependencies that we might need to run React on this device. So while that gets started up, I like to tell you all that this create React app is also available on React's documentation, and it also has its own uh, docs as well. Yep, right here. So I can click get started, and this will provide you in detailed what are the features that create React app provides. I'll share it on Discord. Create React app docs. Till then, yep, our app is all set up. As you can see, I have a new folder inside. Let me just cd into that folder. What is the folder called? Oh, okay. cd React to do app, and I'll open it in a new VS Code window. Just a moment, because this is in a child of another Git repository. I'll just ignore this for now. Do app. Okay, great. Reload window. Yep, amazing. So right here we can see our products, our file structure as provided by create React app. We have a public folder that has index.html. This is the page that gets rendered, and yesterday when Sahil showed us components and other features of React, we saw that we did not have to worry about all this. We still do not have to worry about all this, but this is the HTML page where all our code will be injected by React. This is our app.tsx. This is the component that is first rendered to the page. So if I run npm start over here, what this will do is this will open a live server for me, which is powered by React. And here you can see this is the default page that create React app this has provided us. I'm assume you all are following along. Tanvi, if you could set up a poll on Discord for following along, not following along, that would be great. Um, all right, so here I will just remove some of these unnecessary files. So we do not need the default CSS. We do not want to write tests. What else? We do not need this logo.svg. Oh, okay. So now I'll just remove all this and maybe I'll write a h1 tag of hello world. And because all this is not needed, I'll just remove it as well. Okay. So now you can see that hello world is displayed right here. So
Can you please say how did you bring all these files here?
yep. So I use create React app. So I've shared this link. You need to just copy and paste these commands right here. So first, what do? I create a React app using npx. Npx comes built in with npm, and npm comes built in with Node.js. So I'm assuming you have Node installed, right?
Yes, yes.
Yep. So as soon as you'll run this command, all these files will be set up by default. So you don't need to worry about what does each of them mean. These all will come built in with create React app, and we will soon understand what is the significance of this slowly and steadily. Okay. So npx create React app, name of your app. I named my app React to do app. Okay. And then you change directory to that particular folder and then you run npm start. I hope everyone is following along. If you have any questions, feel free to interrupt.
Guys, if you're
So,
following along, just put in a thumbs up ना क्योंकि मेरा वो चल रहा नहीं है for some reason. Finally चला. Okay, I think people are following along. If you guys are not, we strongly recommend you do. If you guys have not installed, तो फिर like कर दो वो अभी ही. And like I think we can go Saina. Okay.
okay, great. So here I have hello world, and as you can see, this is displayed right here. So now we have set up React on our own device. So now let's try and build the to-do app that we built using vanilla JavaScript yesterday, and let's try to convert it to React. So I'll just go to my script.js. This is yesterday's code. Here we will see that why React is much easier to handle all this state, and we won't have to write all these render functions and everything. Also, yesterday since Sahil explained how we can separate out our code in components, it will be much easier to follow along today as well. All right, so let us start by first understanding what is the syntax of an arrow function, because we will be using this a lot. Would anyone like to tell me the syntax for an arrow function? If you could put it on Discord or unmute, feel free. I will be typing. You tell me the syntax.
Yes, guys. Yeah, we had done the arrow function in JavaScript वाला week as well, if you remember. मैंने ही लिया था. तो put in.
Yeah, so people have put in. Can you uh, put in the syntax of I want a function maybe called example. So how do I write that? People have put in the correct syntax, but how do I name that function? Yup, const example. Yeah, this is correct. Yup. So this is the syntax for an arrow function. Now what if I want it to take some arguments, some inputs? How do I do that? How do I give this function arguments? I see people typing. Again, feel free to unmute and answer. How do I give this function arguments? For example, I want to pass an ID inside of this function. How can I do that? Yup, correct. Vinay answered correctly. So I can say this is an ID. This is the first argument. If I want name, then I can say comma name and so on and so forth. All right. So we have understood how to the write an arrow function. Now what we need to do is understand destructuring of an array or maybe an object. So this is also very important as well. So let me just create an example array of objects of to-dos. Like yesterday, I'll give it a name, text, uh, example one, and maybe a complete status. Complete is true. Yup. I'll just copy paste this multiple times. 1, 2, 3. Amazing. False. So okay, so for now I'll just use the console, and here I will log console dot log to dos. Okay, great. Browser console, and I see that I have console dot log this array. What if I want the first index? Yep, I have console dot log the very first element of this. And now let me try and destructure this. So I will create an object, and with 3 dots, this is used to destructure the array. And I will say destructure this entire to-dos ka array. Let's see what happens. Okay, so now what we have, instead of an array, we have an object which contains all of these items, not in a list, not in an array, but inside of an object. So I have an object whose key is this index 0, 1, 2, so on, and whose values are this. I can similarly just make a copy of this to do like so. So what is this doing? Is this is creating an array of these to dos, but the way it is doing that, it is copying these by breaking them down, by destructuring them. So what you need to take away right now is that if I want to destructure my object, my array, I just need to put 3 dots before that. Am I making sense? I soon will. I think this is a bit overwhelming. But as we soon put this into practice, we will understand it much better. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask right now, maybe on Discord or maybe here as well.
Is any of the most basic doubts? Otherwise, if some concepts were discussed yesterday and you still have doubts in that, let us know. We'll sort everything out for you guys.
Okay, do I see thumbs up? Do I see thumbs ups?
Yup, you do.
Okay, amazing. So now let's try and move on, and let's just do what we did yesterday. We will go to Bootstrap and just copy and paste some of their utility functions. So I'm just opening up yesterday's notes. They are right here. And here, what did I first do? I first put some Bootstrap CSS and Bootstrap JavaScript to my HTML file. So in React, we have this one HTML file where we can inject all our HTML code. So here I can say, instead of React app, I can call this to do app as well. I'll change the title. I've added Bootstrap's ka CSS, and below I will add Bootstrap ka JavaScript. Again, today's notes are also available on the repository. Um, Jay, if you could share that particular folder on Discord, that would be great. Um, okay, so now let's move on. So I have now this JavaScript. My JavaScript ka JSX will now support the classes that I give it. So if I give this h1 a class name of button primary, this should work. So now this is a button. So this is all powered by Bootstrap. I just have to add classes. So like we did yesterday, we will just make a similar layout. We did that I think over here. Yup, here. So we created a container, we gave row calls and so on and so forth. We will just do the same right now. So I will give this a class name of container. उसके अंदर I'll give it a class of row, right? Yup, row row calls 1. Some reason emmet is not working. Anyway, just copy and paste these classes. This is from yesterday. And inside this division, I want two other columns as well. So for one is for the form, uh, and the other is for the to-do container. All right. So here in
Also, guys, I hope you have Kalka resources from where Hussein is referring to. नहीं
mhm.
होगा तो put it on Discord. I'll send the link again if you want.
Jay has shared the link again as well for today's notes as well. Great. So now now that we have this set up, I just want to test it. So again, I will put h1. Here I will say maybe form and another h1 in the other column, and I will call this to dos. So now I'll open and see, yup, everything is working. Where have I used class? Okay, works. Great.
Then we have a doubt saying, how was the Hello World page displayed after the React default page appeared? I still have the React default in my Chrome, but it is not able to display Hello World. This
So
is
what
from
did I do?
Mahiverse
I
one.
just I opened app.js. I removed everything that was there and I pasted just this much. So I just removed all the defaults that app.js had. I removed it, wrote h1 over here and wrote hello world inside manually. And then when I went to port 5500, I assume, there I was being shown only hello world. You could try it out and let me know if that worked. Okay, so for now, as you can see, I have a responsive layout set up. Now let me make it separate by creating a form component. Yesterday, Sahil taught us everything about components. So I'll just create a new component right here. And what I'll do is return the form. So the UI for the form, again, I will copy from yesterday's notes. Form ka UI is right here. Today we do not need IDs because with React, we are somehow uh, mixing in inside each other, mixing HTML, JavaScript, and CSS inside one component. So we do not need to externally create a new JavaScript file and import and select all the DOM elements using document.query selector and alike. So again, what I have to convert this class to class name. Okay, so now if here instead of form, call this component right here, I will see the form over here, as you can see. Great. So just go through the classes again. Okay, great, great. This field is required. I will just give this a margin. Width is 100%. And for this columns, let me just give it maybe a padding of 4 right here. These again are Bootstrap utility classes. I have not written this myself. Okay, so now like yesterday, I need some way of keeping track of what is in this input field, right? So as we yesterday we saw something called as a use state hook. Today we will see a use ref hook. So what this use ref hook will do is it will keep a reference of our input field. So I can call this I'm creating a variable inside of my form component and I'm calling it input text field, and here I will use something called as use ref, and I will just import use ref upper use ref from React. Yep, so I have use ref here, and here my input field will take an another attribute, and I will give that ref attribute a value of this use ref hook. So how this works is use ref will give me a mutable object that will refer this input field. Am I making sense right now? Do I see thumbs ups?
Yep, we have one. Others people, if you have doubts, पूछो बिंदास पूछो. कुछ समझ नहीं रहा है ना छोटा छोटा सा, तो वो भी पूछो. कुछ चल नहीं रहा है वो भी पूछ लो. Okay, don't leave any doubts in your minds.
Yup. So here now what I can do is, as we recalled yesterday, we needed some way of maybe submitting the to do. So here in the form component, I can write a new function. I will write a function called constant arrow function. That's why constant handle submit. And here, as yesterday, we took an event as input, and we did something like e dot prevent default, and we called this. And maybe I just want to console.log here just to be sure that my form is submitted. So what we need is whenever this button is clicked, I mean the form is submitted, I want this handle submit function to run. So here I can say inside my form yesterday, could anyone tell me yesterday how did we listen for submissions? Could anyone remind me how did we listen for submissions of the form in yesterday's to do app?
Using the event listener.
Yeah, great. We used add event listener right yesterday. But today we have the power of React. So what React does, it has an inbuilt attribute that we can write on our own, and what we can call it is what it's called is on submit, meaning whenever this form is submitted, inside of these curly braces you give it a function. So this right here is a function, am I right?
Yep.
So this function, I will just pass it to this on submit. Matlab, whenever this form is submitted, I want the handle submit function to run. Now let's see if this is actually working. So if I press submit, okay, so I need, because this is required, right? So maybe I'll just add some gibberish for now. And if I click submit, we can see inside the console that our form is submitted because I've added this console.log right here. So on submitting this form, this function will run. Now, yesterday we had some logic inside the function of maybe adding to-dos to the list or something. We will do that later. But for now, just we are building the UI. So I've built the form UI and I've also had a function for handling submit. The function does not do anything, just consoles.logs for now. So for now, this is enough. Now let's build our to do का component. मतलब every to do का list item का component. So here maybe I will, okay, first let me just write some UI for the component. Const to do returns JSX, and I will just again copy and paste yesterday's UI for this. So here my list item, I will just change class to class name. Amazing. Remove to do text. Okay, great. So I have a to do right here. And here I need all my to dos, right? So I had to dos wrapped in an unordered list yesterday. And the unordered list I'll take from here. And here I will just call the to do component again. So here, if let's see if this works. Yup, it's working. What is the mistake? Acha, okay, never mind. Class name, I have not used class name here. Yeah. What else? Acha. HTML, our JSX does not support this for attribute for the labels, so I'll just remove that as well. Okay, so now everything is fine. And now if I can have multiple to do elements as well. So as you can see this. So yesterday Sahil showed us another cool feature of somehow passing data from here to this component. Could anyone remind me what was that feature? How do I use it? Yeah, props, right? I can use props right here. I can somehow uh, pass data from the parent component to the child component. The parent component is where JSX similar to this is used, and the child component is that component itself. So I can just maybe pass data right here directly, and I will do that in just a moment just to make sure I've covered. Yep, I've covered everything. All right. So here maybe what do I need is maybe I need to pass the to do object. So I can say something like to do is equal to, and inside of this curly braces I can add my object right here. So double curly braces because the first curly braces is to tell React, okay, now I'm having some JavaScript inside of this. So maybe an ID of 0, text of to do 1, and a complete status of false. Oh, I should remove this. Wrong syntax, my bad. Okay, amazing. So now I want to I'll just remove the other uh, component calls, and here I can accept those props, and here I can say something like props dot text, I think. Yeah, text. Props dot text. Uh, props dot to do dot text. Dot to do dot text. Yep. So now I can see this right here. Uh, could anyone suggest me? Can I destructure this? How can I destructure this props right here? We saw it in the beginning that we can use three dots, right? To destructure an array. So we know that the props is an object, right? So I can just write these curly braces to yeah, that is also a correct answer. So what Vinay is suggesting, I let this be as is, and here maybe I can say const to do is equal to props. Yeah, great answer. This works as well. So here instead of props.todo.text, I can say todo.text directly, and again it will work. Amazing. Also, I can even go a step further and just copy paste this right here. So this is I'm just doing it in line, meaning I'll just take the to do directly and destructure it within this argument itself. So here I have this, and what else? So today, for today's to do app, I will I will also add an additional feature of in last yesterday what we did was on marking this to do as done. I this to do went away, right? But today what we will do is maybe add a feature whereby you can keep the to do inside of the list and mark it as done as well. So to do that, instead of writing a complete to do function, I might as well write something like toggle to do. Yep. So I can write something like toggle to do. So first I will just write an on change. I will listen for an on change event inside of this input field. So the checkbox is an input field, right? And it has listeners built in. So as someone told me before this, that yesterday we were using add event listeners for everything, but today we are using the power of React, and we have many of these things listeners built right into React. So I will just write a new function here, handle change, handle on change, maybe better naming, on change, and arrow function. And this on change, maybe we do not need to prevent default, so it does not matter. I'll just console.log here, uh, uh, to do changed, maybe to do changed, to do complete status changed. And here what I can do is on change, I can call this function. Now let's see what's happening. When I click this, will I see a console.log? Yes or no? Maybe some thumbs ups. If yes, will I see this console, this log inside my console when I click this?
Yep, you have a thumbs up. Other people, what do you suggest? Will you get one or will you not? Okay, so apparently we have multiple thumbs up, Hussein.
Okay, great. So let's try and find out. So I've added one more, for example. Okay, so right, to do status complete is changed, and I'm seeing this multiple times, as you can see right here. As many times as I click. So okay, we have successfully listening for changes as well. Okay, so now what we need to do is maybe set up some logic whereby we can take this to do ka. Maybe we can what we can do is take whatever this form input is and save it inside of an array or something. So let's try and figure that out. But for now we have our UI, user interface, built. So before I continue, I'll just like to separate these components into separate files. So this also Sahil demonstrated very well yesterday. So we will just create a new file, maybe todo.js, and inside of this todo.js I will just copy and paste this component just so that my app.js is much more cleaner. uh, Ignore this part, I need my code set up properly. .vs uh, .vs code settings .json edit tab size is 2. Okay, great. So now everything is fine. And here maybe I need to add some imports. Do I need to add some imports here? Oh, I just have to export this. Export default to do. And inside of my app.js, I can just import this. I can import to do from dot slash components slash to do. To do. Great. To do is imported. Do I see errors here? To do is not defined. Why is to do not defined? To do is defined. Okay. So now if I run this, everything is running fine. I've just separated out that component. Similarly, I will do the same for form.js. Form.js, I'll create a new file, copy this form wala component over there, and here I just need to import the use ref hook. So I can say import use ref from React. Amazing. So this should work fine. And again, like I imported to do, I just need to import form here as well. So okay, so now my this part of this app.js is much cleaner now as well. So I have this form component that is being called from here, and I have my to do component that is being called from here. I do not need this. I have to export default form, export default form. Amazing. Now let's just try it out. Any questions thus far? Feel free to ask. Now we'll move on to handling state, the array of objects. Has everyone understood the purpose of use ref hook?
Moreover, people, if you're coding along, have you reached the same level as Hussein? Or if you want us to wait and for like 2 minutes or so for you to catch up, let us know. You can put it on Discord. Ki wait karke, we'll wait for 2 minutes.
All right, so I assume everyone has understood. Great. So now let's go ahead and handle all our to-dos inside of a state. So yesterday Sahil taught us how to use the use state hook. So I will just write a state uh, to handle all our to-dos ka array of objects. Yesterday we also learnt about array of objects as well. So maybe just let me write an example list. So I can say example to-dos, and here I can just write a list id of 0, text of example to do 0, complete false, and maybe I will just copy and paste this again and again. One, two. Okay, amazing. So now I have this, and now I will write a use state hook to handle these. So use state again is defined in React only, so I can import use state from React. And what is the initial argument that the use state hook takes? Sahil had demonstrated it yesterday. Anyone would like to remind me? Waiting for answers. People are typing. Great.
Just make sure you pay attention to these small details because अपना quiz है इसके बाद and we'll be asking you these same questions over there.
Set function, yes. So I can write the set function inside of these brackets. So the first thing maybe to do's and then maybe set to do's, right? And what about these brackets right here? What can I add inside this and what is their significance? Yeah, right. Initial values of the to-dos. So for now, let me just initialize it to, great answers. I can just initialize this to example to-dos. मतलब ये वाला जो array है, this will be my initial state for these to-dos. And let me just now do something really fancy. Okay, before I do that, let me just console.log the to-dos just to make sure that I am getting these here. And yes, I am actually. You can see I'm getting this array of objects right here. Okay, great. So now inside of my JSX, what I can do is I can write a loop. And how I can do that is I can say to-dos dot map to do, and for each of that to do I want to render this to do component right here. This is yesterday we saw something like for each, right? Yesterday we saw we performed operations using for each. If I can find this right here, maybe. Yup, here we use something like to do's dot for each. So this is pretty similar to that, but what this will do is this will render these how many ever to do objects are there inside of this to do wala array as these components right here. And for each of that component I am passing in that object of to do. So this to do I am getting from here, to do's dot map. For each of that to do, pass that to do inside of this to do component. So what I will see right here is my example to do 0, 1 and 2 and so on and so forth. Am I making sense? Am I going too fast, slow? Tanvi, if you could set up a poll asking if I'm going faster or slower.
Hussein, there is a request for you to explain the for each part again. So that for loop.
Mhm. So yesterday we saw something like for each, right? So yesterday we saw that for each of this to do, I want to run this function right here. Similarly, we have something called as dot map, which will map each of the objects inside of this array to this component right here. मतलब हर एक to do object के लिए ये out ये component render करो DOM में. So as you can see, yesterday I had written render functions right? I had written render to do and I again had to call that render to do's again and again. But today, all that is powered by React for me, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. Does that solve your doubt? Or if you could ask a much more specific answer question, that would be great as well. Yup, great, you got it. Uh, so here I'm mapping my to-dos. I can see all my to-dos right here. And here I see an error right here. So what React expects is whenever I use a map, for each child I pass a prop called key, and that key should be unique for that particular child. So this is the child. I want have to pass a key whenever I'm looping something using map or any other way if I'm looping inside of my JSX. And why is this? This is just for performance reasons to help React understand the difference between the virtual DOM and the actual DOM. So we don't have to worry about it. You will soon understand what is the virtual DOM, what is the actual DOM uh, in a couple of weeks when you work more with React. But for now, just remember that whenever we are looping over an array or something in React, we have to pass the key prop just to help React perform better. So now if I refresh, I will no longer see that error. Okay, great. So now I am mapping over all my to-dos. What should I do next? Um, Maybe I will write a function to actually add a to-do. So I will just write a function in the parent called add to do. And what does this add to do function have to do? Could anyone remind me what the add to do function had to do yesterday? What did the add to do function do yesterday?
They're typing.
Hmm. Yeah, it pushed the to do inside of my to do's ka array. But today we are using state. So as you might recall the very first meme where I talked about the mutability of state. So right now you cannot directly mutate the state. So we have that, therefore for that exact reason we have the set to do's function that will help us update the state, not mutate the state. So we cannot directly say to do's dot push something something something, but we will update the state using the set to do's function that comes with this set state hook. So here, how what do I need to do? First let me just accept a to do as an argument to this function. Maybe I just need the input text, so let me just make it clear. I need the input text, the one that user entered inside of that form. We will figure out a way to actually uh, pass this function to the form, but for now let's just complete this before I do that. So here again we will use the arrow function syntax. So inside of this set to do ka function, we will pass another function, and that function gets a default argument of the previous state. मतलब अभी what we want to do is we want to update the to do's, but we want also want to access the previous to do's, मतलब जो पहले क्या था. So I will just say previous to do's right here, and now I have access to those to do's. So what do I actually want to do? I want to first copy the previous to do's inside this new state again. Do I make sense right now? The very first thing I might want to do is actually just copy these previous to dos as well. And the way I copied them is I created an array and just destructured all the previous to dos. So in the beginning I had showed a way of destructuring arrays and how we can copy them using this three dot wala notation. So that is exactly what I did. Do I see thumbs up if people are understanding?
Yep.
Amazing. And now what I'll do is, after this is copied, I will now add my new object. So my object will have a ID and I will write a function to get new ID. I will write it in after I complete this. So this will just give me a new ID, whatever ID it should be. And now I'll have text, and the text is this input text that I've gotten as an argument to this function already, and I will set complete to false as well. So what I have done is I have, for to the set to do's function, I have set the to do's to the previous to do's plus this new object right here. And now the last thing I need to do is just write a function to get the new ID. I can say get new ID. Would anyone like to suggest how can I get this new ID? What did I do yesterday and how I can improve it? Anyone?
You guys can refer yesterday's code as well.
How can I get the new ID?
Do you have an answer? To do length? Rohan, you were also typing, right? So should we wait for you or do you want to go ahead? Okay, I think you
Okay,
need to go.
sure. What answer did I get to length, right? So
Yep.
to do's dot length, this is one way to do it. But I don't actually really like this method. I can actually improve this, right? One way is to say to do dot length plus one. But what if the array का जो length का latest ID is maybe greater than the length? For example, what if this to do ka one element I had removed from before? Then I would be in trouble, right? So today let's just write a better way to do it. I can return to do's का जो last element है. What will be the last element of this to do's? It will be to do's dot length plus 1, and उसका जो id component है I will increment that by 1. Okay, so you didn't get it. To do's is my array, right? उसका जो लास्ट एलिमेंट है उसको मैं सिलेक्ट कर सकता हूँ. ये अरे है, उसमें अंदर में जा सकता हूँ और उसका लास्ट एलिमेंट आ सकता हूँ. अभी उसका लास्ट एलिमेंट का मेरे को इंडेक्स चाहिए, तो दैट इंडेक्स आई विल गेट by calculating the length and adding 1 to it. Why I'm adding 1? Because it is indexed from 0, right? So that acha I want you have to subtract 1, right? Okay, so index 0 1. तो अगर 3 का हाँ I need to subtract 1. So if it
-1
is
होगा।
yep तो 3 का लेंथ हुआ तो मुझे आएगा 0 इंडेक्स्ड हुआ. हाँ राइट तो ये सही है, टू डूज डॉट लेंथ -1 और उसका आईडी, और वो आईडी, ये जो आईडी आएगा उसको मैं 1 से ऐड कर लूंगा। अमेजिंग, ग्रेट, यू गॉट इट एज वेल। सो अभी आई जस्ट नीड टू राइट वन मोर चेक। सो आई जस्ट नीड टू मेक श्योर दैट टू डूज का जो लेंथ है वो 0 से बड़ा है, तो ही ये काम करेगा, वरना मैं सीधा 1 रिटर्न कर लूंगा। समझा ये मैंने क्यों किया? Why did I do this right here?
Understood. It's doing.
Acha, so people understood. Great. Could anyone tell me what if I did not have this check here? What would happen? What if I did not check to-dos.length is greater than 0 or not? What would happen then?
तो फिर वहाँ पे जो लिस्ट होगा वो एम्प्टी होगा ना, तो फिर उसका लास्ट एलिमेंट कैसे आएगा?
Exactly. और फिर मुझे एक एरर थ्रो होगा और फिर कोड रन नहीं होगा। इससे अच्छा I can just write an if else statement and I'll get the latest ID as well. ओके, सो अभी हम लोग ने ऐड टू डूज का फिगर आउट कर लिया। अभी बस एक चीज बाकी है कि ये ऐड टू डू को समहाउ फॉर्म में लेके जाए। वो मैं कैसे ले जा सकता हूँ? Someone had answered something similar for this to do component. Could someone repeat how do I take this add to do function to this form right here? Using what superpower of React can I do that?
Prop.
Yup, I can pass it as a prop. So I will take this to do, इधर मैं add एक, let me just call this prop something different. For example, let me call it handle submit. Handle submit, हाँ, क्योंकि submit पे ये, अच्छा add to do बोला तो easy to understand. So I am passing this add to do का function as a prop called add to do, or inside my form like I did previously by destructuring, I will just call this add to do function and इधर I will call that add to do function, and इस to do function को मैं input text field का जो current value है वो पास करूंगा। So for the use ref hook एक current करके एक object देता है और वो ऑब्जेक्ट के अंदर मेरा सारा इंफॉर्मेशन है ये इनपुट फील्ड का। तो इनपुट फील्ड का जो करंट है उसके अंदर ये वैल्यू एट्रीब्यूट होता है ना, yesterday we selected that value attribute, today we just have to refer the ref का current का value and that will give me whatever is inside of this text input field. There are many other ways of actually handling input fields in React as well. One way is to use the use state hook and handle on change and listen for events, but this is I think a very minimal approach and really fits in our implementation because we do not need to write manual uh, not need to write the checks manually. So we have just used this required thing right here, so we do not have to check anything, so we do not need our component to re-render. I will just explain re-render in a moment as well. तो अभी के लिए इतना समझो कि मैंने क्या किया, मैंने ये add to do फंक्शन को फॉर्म को दे दिया और फॉर्म उसको उसके सबमिट के टाइम कॉल करेगा। Am I clear right now? Am I
Yes.
making sense? Okay, so I don't see any questions. Amazing.
Guys, put in a thumbs up if you guys are with Hussein. If you guys are not, then let us know where you're stuck. Okay, so I guess they are with you, Hussein.
Okay, great. So now we have handled the submit thing. Now let me just quickly try it out. First, let me remove this default thing and just give it an empty array. और ये example to do's हटा देता हूँ और अब my to do app is empty. So now let me just add a new to do, follow at prettyboy on GitHub. Okay, so this task is added. Again, minor bug. I forgot to empty this field. So again, I will just go here and say input text field dot current dot value is equal to empty string. So now if I write something, maybe this, and my form whenever is submitted, it is getting empty after that. Amazing. I can again toggle this and I see this console.log. So now my next task is to write the toggle to do function. So again, I will come back to app.js and I will write my toggle to do ka function. Toggle to do. So what does toggle to do need as an argument? Yesterday we wrote a similar function to remove to mark a to do as completed. I think what was it called? Mark to do complete or something. Add to do. हाँ, complete to do. सो ऐसा ही फंक्शन लिखना है पर इधर जो ये जो स्टेप है ना, दिस स्टेप वी नीड टू जस्ट टॉगल इट, मतलब अगर ट्रू है तो फॉल्स, फॉल्स है तो ट्रू. And again we cannot use this right here because we cannot mutate the state. We can only update the state using the toggle, using the setter that we get with useState hook. Okay. सो अब ये थोड़ा हैंडफुल होगा तो मैं थोड़ा डॉक्यूमेंट कर लेता हूँ. आई राइट सम कमेंट्स. फर्स्ट स्टेप इज टू कॉपी द करंट टू डूज इन अ न्यू वेरिएबल. सो आई विल से जो अभी वाला जो, लेट मी क्रिएट अ न्यू वेरिएबल न्यू टू डूज एंड सेट इट टू वॉट एवर द स्टेट इज नाउ. सो अभी टू डूज करके है मेरे पास स्टेट, ये रहा टू डूज. तो वो टू डूज को मैंने इधर कॉपी कर लिया, कॉपी किया. अब ये वाले कॉपी में मैं जाऊंगा और वो इंडेक्स ढूंढूंगा जिसका मेरे को रिमूव आईडी मिला है, टॉगल आईडी. इधर टॉगल आईडी, yesterday we used something called remove id, so here I can refer to a remove id. Today I will call it toggle id. And how did I find the index of that? Could anyone remind me? I used the built-in function on the array. Feel free to unmute or put it on Discord. What did I use?
Have an answer on
Use.
Discord. It's find index.
Yup. So find the index of that specific object using the find index method. So how did I use it? I said let to do का index जो हम लोग को toggle करना है उसका index be equal to सारे to do's dot find the index of which to do, वो वाला to do जिसका id इक्वल है ट्रिपल इक्वल टू toggle id से. So now I have that index, and now what I need to do is I need to go to my new to do's, go to that particular index and update its complete value to. What do I have to update its complete value to? How do I somehow write a toggle thing? Would anyone like to recommend a way? anyone would like to tell me how can I toggle this right here? Yeah, amazing. So I can use the not operator. तो exclamation mark करके जो है ये है एक not करके होता है. It is there in most programming languages. I think it's also supported in JavaScript. So what do I have to set it not equal to? I can use the if else what is it called, ternary operator as well. I can use that as well. Amazing. So let me just write that. So to use that I can say if this is equal to true, then I will come back to the not answer as well. So if this is equal to true, then I will set it to false. Otherwise I will set it to true. So this is one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is by simply using the not operator. अभी इतना hint दे चुका हूँ. I think someone has written the correct. Yeah, amazing. Vinay has given the correct answer. I can just put exclamation mark and not equal to this. But this, by the way, is also a correct way to do it as well. Great answers, everyone. Amazing. So now I can have this way to handle the toggle thing. And now one last step I have to do. Last step, anyone? How do I update the state of to-dos? I have done this before also. Yeah, I can use set to-dos. Amazing. So I can set to-dos to the new to-dos. But what I will do is I will again destructure this right here. So why do I need to destructure this? Is because the set state function expects a new instance to be updated. So what this will do is this will just make sure that my component is re-rendered. So by now I think you all will be able to understand this re-render ka thing. So I will just let you know is whenever I set the state, whenever I use the setter function, what React does, it will reload that particular section for me. Abhi when I will, let me just pass this toggle to do function down to the to do component. So toggle to do, this is same what I did for the form thing as well. So इधर toggle to do और मैं इधर toggle to do को कॉल कर दूंगा. अमेजिंग. सब ठीक है. यप, सब ठीक लग रहा है. मस्त. So now some example text, and now if I click on this take, cannot read property undefined. complete का spelling सही है क्या? complete. अच्छा, I forgot to pass the toggle ID here. तो toggle ID भी दे देता हूँ. ID with the toggle ID will be todo.id. Silly mistake. Again, some example to do's. Okay, so now if I mark this to do as complete, this to do is ticked now. So this is completed. इसका मैंने state update कर लिया है. And what this will do is this will just re-render the components to make sure that this is ticked. Am I making sense right now? So one way to make sure is I can pass the checked prompt here and tell the input field that जो ये to do है वो checked है कि नहीं, वो कैसे decide करो. to do dot check टू डू डॉट कंप्लीट देख के, तो अगर कंप्लीट है तो ये चेक्ड ट्रू रहेगा, और अगर कंप्लीट नहीं है तो ये चेक्ड फॉल्स रहेगा. एक once we start using when we use this in local storage, we will realize why that is important as well. अभी के लिए I hope you all understood what is rendering, because yesterday I had covered this as well. After every function that I wrote, I used to call the render function that I had written yesterday. तो yesterday वाला render function अगर मेरे को मिल रहा हो तो ये रहा. yesterday का render function में उसको हर बार बार कॉल कर रहा था. render to do इधर भी कॉल किया, फिर इधर भी मैं कॉल कर रहा था. but here in React, if you see, I do not need to call the render function anymore. So why is that? Could anyone tell me when does my component re-render automatically? I had said this अभी ही 2 मिनट पहले बताया था मैंने. When does my component re-render? Yes, on state change. Is everyone catching up? Do I see thumbs ups?
Yep.
Amazing. Okay, so now that I think the rendering part is clear, what do I need to move on to now? Okay, now I need to handle storing all these all this to-dos inside of my local storage. So अभी अगर मैं ये to do कर लिया suppose, और भी थोड़ा डाल दिया और मैंने ये सारा किया, पर अभी जैसे ही मैं ये reload करूंगा सब गायब. So yesterday what did we use to keep everything in memory? Would anyone like to remind me? What did I use to keep everything in memory? बताओ बताओ. हाँ, great answer. I used local storage. And when did I keep calling local storage, right? I had to again and again call local storage. So could anyone notice a pattern here and tell me when do I need to update local storage? इधर कभी कभी मुझे local storage update करना है. कौन से इवेंट होने पर मेरे को लोकल स्टोरेज अपडेट करना चाहिए? एक आंसर मिला. वेटिंग फॉर मोर पीपल टू आंसर. कब मुझे लोकल स्टोरेज अपडेट करना चाहिए? एनी पैटर्न्स यू ऑल नोटिस कि हमेशा ये होने पर ही मेरे को लोकल स्टोरेज को हाथ लगाना है? हाँ, ऐड एंड रिमूव पर करेक्ट आंसर्स. सो पर ऐड और रिमूव एक तरीका हुआ कि आई विल जस्ट राइट अ लोकल स्टोरेज फंक्शन दैट आई रोट yesterday and call it after the add and remove to do function. But in React we have a better way of doing that using something called the use effect hook. तो जैसे हम लोग के पास use state hook मिलता है React के साथ, हम लोग को use effect hook करके भी मिलता है React के साथ, और ये use effect hook मैं कॉल कर सकता हूँ. तो अभी ये use effect hook का syntax कैसा है? use effect takes in a function. I am again using this arrow function syntax, as many of you all might be familiar by now. और ये arrow function के एक function जो पहला argument हो गया, अब जो दूसरा argument है वो एक array लेगा, और ये array में सारे वो values जाएंगे जो हम लोग को जो change होने पर ये use effect hook run होना चाहिए. All those values will go inside this array that we want the use effect hook to run on change of those values. मतलब अभी अगर मैं इधर to do's डाल दूं, तो जब भी to do's change होगा तो ये फंक्शन रन होगा. अभी ये फंक्शन में पहले तो मैं एक काम करता हूँ, console.log कर देता हूँ कि this function is running. ओके और अभी हम लोग देखते हैं कि ये एक्चुअली चल रहा है कि नहीं. ओके तो ये फन फैक्ट, whenever our component renders, the very first render will run the will run the use effect hook, all the use effect hooks irrespective of whatever is in this array. तो एक बार पहले रन होगा जब भी वो कंपोनेंट रेंडर होगा, और अब वो लिसन करेगा, इवेंट लिसनर की तरह वो सुनेगा कि अगर मेरा टू डू अपडेट हुआ तो मैं ये रन करूंगा. और हमारा टू डू कभी अपडेट हो रहा है, स्टेट टू डू का स्टेट तभी अपडेट हो रहा है जब भी हम लोग सेट स्टेट को रन कर रहे हैं, सेट स्टेट रन कर रहे हैं सबमिट पे. तो अभी मैं कुछ टू डू डाला तो ये फंक्शन रन हुआ, फिर से करता फंक्शन रन हुआ, दिस फंक्शन इज रनिंग. अभी मैं टिक करूं, टू डू अपडेट हुआ, टू डू का स्टेट अपडेट हुआ सेट टू डू के कारण. राइट हियर आई एम सेटिंग टू डूज टू न्यू टू डू, so this is being updated and again this function is running. Just for simplicity's sake I'll just remove all unnecessary console logs. Okay, amazing. तो अभी this function is running first एक बार, अभी फिर से रन हुआ, फिर से रन हुआ, 3 बार हो गया, अभी इधर चौथी बार, 5वीं बार. this function will keep running whenever the state of the to do's is updated. Do I see thumbs up or you have any questions related to use effect? use effect बहुत important है और बहुत helpful है React development में. Okay, understood. Everyone else? Jay, do I see thumbs ups?
Yup, you do.
Yes.
Okay, great. यूज इफेक्ट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, सब समझ जाओ, समझ गए होंगे. और अभी बस मेरे को एक काम करना है, ये जो कल मैंने फंक्शन लिखा था सेव इन मेमोरी, इफ आई कैन फाइंड दैट फंक्शन, सेव टू डूज इन मेमोरी ऐसा कुछ करके लिखा था. लिसनर रेंडर, अच्छा लेट मी जस्ट फाइंड इट इन स्क्रिप्ट. हाँ, सेव टू डूज इन मेमोरी. I'll just copy this, or maybe just let me write it out so that those who did not attend yesterday. Local storage dot set item, and the first argument that the set item function takes is the key for what that item is. मतलब save नहीं क्या, to do's in memory, to do's in memory. So ये key देने पर हमें क्या चाहिए, JSON का एक, जो JSON का ऑब्जेक्ट है उसको हम स्ट्रिंग में कन्वर्ट करेंगे और वो टू डूज को सेव कर लेंगे मेमोरी में. अमेजिंग. तो अभी क्या हो रहा है कि जब भी मैं ये यूज इफेक्ट हुक रन होगा, सारे टू डूज को स्ट्रिंगिफाई करके मैं लोकल स्टोरेज में स्टोर कर रहा हूँ. Am I making sense? So now I do not have to actually go ahead and call those function again and again. I'm just leveraging the use effect hook to do the hard work for me. Do I see thumbs ups? Does anyone have doubt in this local storage, especially those who weren't there yesterday? Any questions? Do I see thumbs ups?
Yeah, there are some.
Okay, great. So I think I was able to explain this properly. Our to do app is now working and everything is stored in memory. Just one last thing, we need to set the initial value of the to do's to the get item. इधर और डाल दिया, हाँ बस. And if you do not if you have not understood this, please feel free to ask. I have just set the initial value of the to do's to this as well. And ये और वाला कल बताया था कि मतलब अगर ये null है तो ये सेट कर लो ऐसा. Any questions thus far? Feel free to ask. And now let us just see what is wrong. अच्छा अच्छा, एक second. Locust JSON.parse करना भूल गया. This will be a string, right? So I have to parse it. JSON.parse. Okay, so now everything is working. Lastly, follow at PTY on GitHub. और अभी अगर मैं रीलोड करता हूँ तो ये सब सेव्ड है. ये सारा टिक करके रीलोड किया तो भी ये सब स्टेट सेव्ड है. और लास्टली एक चीज कर लेता हूँ, इसका फॉन्ट साइज बड़ा कर लेता हूँ. yesterday also it was very small font. FS3 built-in bootstrap class. Okay, so now my to-do app is completed. All right, thank you everyone for building this with me. I hope I was able to explain this properly. If you have any questions, anything you might not have understood, just feel free to ask right now. I think we have a quiz right now. Am I right?
Yes, we do have a quiz.
Okay, so before that, any questions, just feel free to ask on Discord or right here. Thank you so much for your attention. Tanvi, I think you can start.
Yeah, I can start now, I guess.
Okay. It's the same rules as before. Answer fast to get more points. Which of the following hooks is used to access input value entered by the user? Okay. Use effect, use ref, use context, or use value. Answer wisely, guys. ये पढ़ा है आज. Amaze. Use value got 6, but the correct answer is use ref. People, Jai, explain.
Hussein has struggled a lot. He's built a complete application with you that particular ref dot current dot value gives you the value from the input box, input element. So the answer is use ref.
Use value. Why is it not use value, Jai? Could you explain it?
That was just a random option to confuse you guys. It doesn't exist.
Use value doesn't exist. Amaze.
Yeah.
We have the leaderboard for this question. Okay. Okay, so we have God, Vinay, Onita, great. Not Jay and Rishi Satpal, amazing. Okay, we have question 2 of 5. Okay, which is the function called on the event object to prevent the page from reloading on submit? Is it prevent reload, this dot prevent default, or prevent load? Three, two, one, and time's up. 6 people have done prevent default, and that is the correct answer. Congratulations to 6 people.
Whenever we listen for events, we pass on the event object. That is E. If you have read in the code somewhere, that is the event object. So we first of all call prevent default to stop the page from refreshing. So this was a fundamental event listening thing.
Okay, Amaze. Okay, so Vinay is leading, then it's not Jay. Anicha is after that. God, you've gone down. Rabbit was the fastest. Okay, so let's go ahead. Question 3. Which feature of JavaScript do we use to store data in the browser? That is, to not lose the data on reload. Does it load storage, context API, no SQL, or SQL? 2, 1, and time's up.
The most recent thing Hussein covered.
Okay, 7 people have answered correctly, and it's local storage. Amazing. Ajay, do you want to give an explanation?
Yeah, so local storage is the web storage API that we use to store the data in browser, as you can see in the question, so that when we reload the page, the data is not lost.
Okay, so who do we have leading? Okay. Okay, Okay, so we have Vinay leading, then it's Nodjay, Unicha, Rohan Menon, and so on. Let's go to the next question. This is the fourth one. I want to perform a side effect whenever a component re-renders. Which hook will I use? So is it use effect hook, use function hook, use memo hook, or use perform hook? Okay, so time's up, and use effect has the most votes, and it is the correct answer. So amazing. Jay, could you explain why use memo and use perform are wrong?
First of all, use function and use perform are not the hooks in React. That was again to confuse you guys. And use memo is something which I have not studied yet. So use effect, as Hussein explained, whenever the component re-renders, we want React to handle that part of code. That you have to do it automatically.
Amazing. So let's see who's leading again. Okay. So we have Vinay in lead. Amazing. Then we have Shahar just last time we tha na. I think last week I could not pronounce. But we have Onichan, Mahivas, Coder has the fastest, Elsa, and so on. Let's move ahead. This is the fifth, last one, people. Also fast to get more points. How to perform a side effect only when a particular variable is updated in the component.
A little
Is
bit
a
tricky question, guys.
pass that variable as an parameter to the function we pass in use effect. Pass that variable as a parameter in the brackets to use effect. Both. This cannot be achieved. Time's up, and okay, so pass that variable as a parameter in brackets to use effect was the correct answer. 8 people have answered it correctly. Amazing. And well, let's see.
Am I the only one or the screen is lagging?
Okay, is the screen lagging? Really sorry.
Oh, no, now it's
नहीं
okay.
नहीं ठीक है ठीक है.
It's
Now it's
cool. So we have Vinay. Congratulations, Vinay. You're the winner. Then we have Shahar. Then we have Mahivas. So and fastest was Tanvi Panda. Okay. So amazing, guys. Now we'll move on to Jay's section. Jay, will you introduce what you're gonna teach?
So till now we have learned about basics of JavaScript, basics of React, then how React is important for us, like how does it reduce our workload. Also, Hussein has built the same application in both the uh, things, like one in JavaScript, Vanilla.js, and one in React. So as you might have seen that there are a lot of things to deal with in React. We have to first create an application, then there are a lot of boilerplate files, and then we have to understand where to put what part of the code. So now we will get into some architectural practices for React, like how can we actually start with bigger projects, like what things are required for the bigger projects. Now for to-do app, this was a mini application, but let's suppose you're working on some bigger applications which requires authentication, which requires data storage. So for that, from now onwards, we will learn the architectural practice required for particular React application along with some authentication practices. So we'll be using Firebase as our main authentication helper. So we'll be using Firebase to authenticate the user using Google. So as you can see on the screen, I have the CRA template Firebase starter. That is create React app template Firebase starter, which is again created by our friend Hussein. So he thought for all of us and created a template, starter template, boilerplate template, so that we can right away start from what is required and not waste our time on the things which are extremely cumbersome to do. That is setup, the one setup that is always repetitive in codes. So I think you can thank Hussein on Discord. I want all you guys to thank Hussein on Discord.
जय रेपो को स्टार important.
Oh yeah. So yes, please star the repo. I myself did not star it till now.
बेशरम.
So yeah. Okay, so what is a template? So as you saw, Hussein started the application with create. Okay, I'll keep this open. create React app. So what did create React app do for you, right? So that create React app command created all the basic files like package.json file, then source file, public folder, that is all the static files in public folder. That was automatically created for you. So that was just like the most basic boilerplate you can ever get. That was create React app. But what if my needs are different? So my needs are different. Hussein's needs are different. So everyone has got different needs, right? I may be working in React Firebase, but you might be working in React Python. So all those are some different combinations. So this create React app allows us to create our own templates and publish them to the internet so that everyone else can use it. So what we decided, like, let's go with Firebase authentication. So Hussein created a repository, a template for using Firebase authentication with React application, and he published this template. So as we have now have the idea of how the template, like what the template actually is, now let's get into the code. So these things you know, right? This package.json, then public src template, this thing is explained. Let's get into the actual code of this. So app.js was there in the basic create React app. In this, we are using some like more functions from Firebase. As you can see, I'm importing these functions and I'm using this. So this is the boilerplate I have ready made before going into anything. So I am having a router installed, like many of the applications have routers. So this code is built in this template. So what I'll do now is I will install this template, like download the code, start off with this. So the command goes as follows: npx create React app, then it is the name of your app. So I will name it example app. Then this is the flag, hyphen hyphen template is the flag. So we tell that the template which I have to use is Firebase startup. Okay, so when I hit enter, now this, oh damn, my internet is a little bit slow. This will take a little bit amount of time. Till then, we can go to the code back again and study everything. So guys, till now, all the concepts like use state, use effect, use hook were covered, right? But we did not cover this point known as routing, right? Like not all the applications are single page applications. We can route through different pages and stuff. So as we can see, we have a router built in this application, right? In this template, we've wrapped all our routes with browser router, and that is we pass the public URL, that is the URL to which we deploy our application, but that is all the advanced part. For now, you can just ignore it. And this is the boilerplate code for routers. Like in routes, I'm mapping the routes file, which I'll show you in a minute. And then I'm checking whether the route is protected and then passing the user to that component if he is logged in. And I won't pass him to that component if he is not logged in. I know this is a lot of, jargonish stuff. That is the reason we'll directly start off with the application and not get deep into this. But I would definitely, when we set up the application, I will explain you about the React routers, because React routing is one of the most important concepts of React. Okay, so I think our setup is done. It's still downloading. All right, guys. What we can do is let's cover up routes now only. Then if it's taking time, let's not waste our time. We are already low on time. So for multi-page applications to work in React, we have to import some modules from React Router DOM. Now, React Router DOM is the library we get with React itself. So we have to import browser router, route, and routes from React. Now you don't need to get into the nitty-gritties of this. Just remember the syntax for this. Like browser router, we pass the base name, that is the public URL, which that is the common part of every route. And then inside the routes, if I was to write this manually, I would have wrote this route 1, route 2, route 3 manually. But I am mapping over the file which I have, that is routes JSON file, and I'm routing this. So I'll just show you the routes file. I think that is in config. Yes. So in routes, as you can see, I am storing the array of objects, and which has path as an attribute, component, name, and protected as its attributes. If protected is true, the user can't go ahead if he's not logged in. And if protected is false, then he can go ahead no matter whether he's logged in or not. guys, I know this is a little bit a huge jump, like a steep jump from what we were studying, but this is how routes is. So when we code, like next week we'll be coding a complete application in one stack. So at that point again I'll explain how these multi-page applications actually work. So I think, oh, it's still downloading. Is it my internet or any updates, Hussein, on the package?
No, the internet is really slow.
Acha,
Um,
it's my
just
bad.
try to redo it now
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I
yeah.
think you are in the trash folder. Just go back.
Yo,
You are
okay.
trying to create in the trash folder.
Acha, acha, I did not. I was not aware, I guess. Okay, fine. What I'll do is I simply open a new terminal at this. Okay, I was in trash. I was not aware. Thank you for making me aware about that. So npx create React app. Name of the app, example app template. Firebase starter. Yes. The name was Firebase starter only, if I'm not wrong. Guys, I think I'm going a little fast. Can you please let me know? Tanvi, if you can put up a poll. Because I'm feeling I'm going a little fast. And guys, hello.
Yeah. I think your internet is thoda lagging. Can you
It's
just
lagging.
It's you know what?
Just a sec.
It's all due to the construction work going around in the background, guys. I'm extremely sorry for this. This was not expected. Um, can you see my screen or even that is lagging?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Your screen is visible.
But my voice is lagging.
Little bit.
Kind of.
That is the hindrance in this. I mean,
Well, I think we can go ahead. Guys, if you're
we
going
can go
fast, let us know. Okay. Slow
give me
down
a thumbs
करके
up.
लिख दो.
Exactly. We're starting a part in boilerplate. The reason we have, like, Hussein has created a boilerplate is that because that part is boring, right? Hussein, look, I'm making you get more stars on your report. I think again.
I think we can move on there.
I think like my voice is perfect, right? I can go ahead.
Yeah, it's almost perfect.
Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay, just give me a minute or so. I will quickly figure out my internet. Just a minute. Now it should be perfectly fine, I guess. Now no disturbance at all. Okay, yeah, sure.
Please stop
So
sharing the screen. Share it again.
now I'm sharing it again. You can't see. Again, that's the reason. Not
वापस कर
visible.
वापस कर वापस कर.
ओ भाई, आज ही जाना था इंटरनेट को. अच्छा खासा टेम्पलेट प्रमोट कर रहा था.
Oh, yeah, we
Now
can see your screen
it's,
now.
now it's perfect.
Yeah, we can move on.
I just put that command again. That was all because of my folder. Npx create React app. All right. So this will, I guess, go on for a little while now.
Jay, I suggest that you use the github.dev page, you open that folder,
Uh,
or if you want me to set it up on my machine, maybe.
the problem is not with your package. Your package is extremely working fine. But the thing is, I want to demonstrate the Firebase credentials, right? So my next part is Firebase. So if my internet doesn't support me at any level, then I can't, I guess. Like for now, I can go with this GitHub, but I don't know. Like I'm doing this in a completely fresh folder. Still, it's taking a lot of time.
Acha, okay.
No,
It's
it's
all
taking time. It took time for me too, but it's now installed.
actually that's due to internet. Like all you guys are new, but the people in Codecell know how strong my internet is. Okay, so where was I? I don't think uh, explaining like this is a great idea because you obviously won't get it like this. Okay, guys, let's do one thing. Okay, now ऐसा बड़े बड़े इवेंट्स में छोटी छोटी बातें होती रहेंगी. Let's not, focus on that. I will take you through the template first of all, then till now. So, guys, this is a very interesting template. So, I suggest you focus a little bit. So, as I've already mentioned about the routes, and I also told that we'll be using Firebase in our template, right, for starting up. So, as I mentioned you that next week we'll be creating an application. So, we are using authentication, Google sign-in authentication. So, for that, what you have to do is you have to connect our application to the Firebase backend, right? So the way we do it is, as you can see in this config folder, all this is just a basic React code. The only new thing is Firebase configuration. That's it. The only new thing we have is Firebase configuration. So as you can see these files, firebase.config.js, firebase.js, and routes.js. So I already explained you why these routes is used for. These routes are mapped over in our main folder so that the user can go through all the application, all the pages of the application. Now, in this Firebase config, we have to pass in all the values that we get when we create the application in the backend in the Firebase. So I think till that thing happens, we can go to the Firebase console. So I think, guys, I should give you a time for a couple of minutes to go to this console, firebase.google.com. I'm sending you the link in Discord. If you guys are following along, you can go to this page. Let me know if you guys are doing it so that I can wait for you. Hello. Do I see any responses? Yeah, so I'm going to
Yeah, thumbs ups.
yeah, I will definitely go back to this, but for that, for our template to work, we should be creating an application in Firebase. So It's an extremely simple process. I need you to go to this website, firebase.google.com, log in with your with whatever Gmail you prefer, and then you should be able to see this console. Again. So you will see this page right when you click on go to console. So are you guys following, or do I go ahead?
Yeah, I think you can go ahead. I see thumbs ups.
All right, perfect. So we logged in into Firebase. So guys, what is actually Firebase? So obviously you might have read about Firebase in and many articles and stuff. Firebase makes our lives extremely easier. So if not for Firebase, authentication process is extremely difficult. You have to use JWT tokens. You have to, write all those hashing algorithms and stuff. But Firebase makes it extremely easy. All you have to do is just create a project over here. So what I would recommend is create a project. My project is already created over here. So when you create a project, you get over here the options to add an application. Like as I can see this add app button. So I think create a project and then click on add application. As of now, we are working on a web application. So I'll be adding a web app over here. Okay, so I will name it example app. I will register the application. Just a couple of steps more and we are good to go. And meanwhile, guys, our template is also installed. So for me, that's an achievement indeed. So as you can see that, as you know that we can also run templates straight away. When we do create React app and when you run that application, create React app, you see the basic page over here, over there. So exactly the same thing. When I hit npm start, I should be able to see the basic boilerplate that is there in the template. So by the time our app is created in Firebase, we'll go to then check whether this React app is working. All right, guys. So if you can see this page, so whatever I was telling you in the beginning is now making sense because now my internet is working. That we did not have to write anything of this, right? We did not have the code, the login component, register component, sign in the Google component. All this was done in the template by Hussein, and we are just ready to use. As you can see, it's all ready to use. But now, as we can see that we have just created the application in Firebase. We have not linked this application in our Firebase to our like front end ka code, right? We are yet to link it. That's why if I click on sign in with Google, you can see this site can't be reached and the Firebase error, API key not valid because we have not yet passed the API key to our application. Okay, so what I'll do is I will open the code in my Firebase, in my VS Code. Firebase template and example app. All right, perfect. So as I told you, everything else is just the React code that you studied. Now we have to go into Firebase config and we have to add this particular config. Yeah, so this particular config right here, so that when we do this, like let me take you just briefly through this, how this Firebase thing works. When you add this Firebase config over here, this config is exported from this file as you can see, and in firebase.js it is being called and is passed to initialize application. So this initialize app is the function provided to us by Firebase to connect our React application to the backend we are working in. That backend is somewhere deployed, on those cloud servers. So to connect to our application right there, we use this initialize app function. To this function, we pass Firebase config as the parameter so that our app is initiated, right? And then all these basic things like authentication is required to get the user data, providers for getting the data, getting the sign in Google option. Obviously I'll come to that later. First, let's connect the application. For that, this part was important. Now, as you can see, I am not storing these values directly in API key or domain and etc. I am calling them through process.env. So what is this process.env? Now, when we upload the files to GitHub, right? When we push the files to GitHub, there are some delicate codes, there are some delicate keys that you should not be exposing to the world. Otherwise, they can get access to your application and mess it up all around. That's why what we do is we put all the delicate information in this .env file. So again, this is a new thing for you to learn. .env. This thing always helps when we work in a team or when we push our code to public on GitHub. So at that point, we don't need our delicate information to get exposed, right? So that's why what we do is we store these variables in .env and then we access them through process.env over here. So I guess, guys, now it's all making sense. All the data which I have over here in Chrome, all these API key value, or domain value, project ID value, this information is not supposed to be put up on the internet and made public. So what I will do, I will connect this application which I created right now in Firebase to our React. I'll connect this to our React application. That is just like connecting our backend to front end, just to understand, just to wrap your head around it. So what I will do, I will take this API key. Probably have to do it manually. Okay, then I have to take the odd domain. Guys, till then, if you have any questions, like if I have not explained any part, obviously the part till which I have covered, you can put it in the Discord chat or you can ask me straight away by unmuting.
How did you copy this API key? Can you please repeat?
Control C, Control V. Like I just took it from here. Acha, your question is how did I get over here? Like to these values.
Yes.
Acha, so did you remember that I put that name over here, example app, and I hit enter? When I registered the application, I put the name example app and I registered it straight away. So when I click on that register application button, these all values are generated automatically. I don't have to do any single step extra.
Okay, what was the command that you typed?
जय एक बार कंसोल में जाके उसको बता देना कि वो भी फॉलो अलोंग कर ले.
Console. अच्छा this.
हाँ वो वाला तरीका.
Yeah. So who was this? I think Vatsal was asking.
Yes.
अच्छा, I can't because वो Firebase में ये नहीं है. मैं तेरे को ऐप बना के.
अरे रुक मैं बताता हूँ. जाओ उधर, वो इधर भी था.
No, what I'll do is I'll show him what I did. From what point did not understand?
Acha, we have to click on go to console. Okay.
Exactly. So yeah, you missed that point. So if you do, then I think you get the idea. Then you create an application, and then it asks you to enter the name of the application, and then you get this information. It's all extremely straightforward and self-explanatory till this point.
If you have doubts, don't shy away from asking, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Even if they are easy or something, it's okay.
Because yeah, it was a bit of a chaos right now before starting, so it's understood that you can miss some points. So let me put these credentials over here. Firebase project ID I'll put. Storage bucket. You get a breather till then, guys. You can breathe and you can just, because we have to do this to connect our application. These are some information delicate, and I guess app ID the last thing I have to put. All right, so I have perfect. I have put all the information. So I got it from this, like I got this Firebase config, and if you can see, this is nothing but just the thing is same, the structure is same, like export const Firebase config, and I'm just getting the values from process.env because I don't have to push that file to the internet. All right, so I'll come to this get ignore in a minute, because this .env file is in get ignore, so that when I deal with GitHub, that the files in get ignore don't get pushed. So I think you know this much. This is a very extremely basic thing to do. Okay, so this was our application. If we go to the terminal again, as I have dealt with .env, I have to start it again. Otherwise, it's okay if don't do. But when you deal with .env files, make sure that you always exit the server and come back again. Yeah, so now you will see that you are not encountering that error. Now I have enabled the login with Google thing on my website, on my page. All I did was just go to the console, create an application, and that's it. Then just put that data, put that values over here, and connect it to our application. That helped me log in. Okay, so let me do continue to console over here. I think if I go to the example app, you can see in our example app, I'll show you one thing. Let's first finish up this login. Sign in with Google. That's it. That's it, guys. I'm successfully logged in. As you can see, actually, I'm not printing anything in the console log, but you can see the user detected. We have put this console log just to check whether the user is logged in perfectly. And the next thing happens is navigate to the authenticated screen. Okay, now I will take you through the exact code of this. I think till now you have followed me till how to connect the application to Firebase. Is it so? Then I'll get ahead and explain the.
Yeah, I see thumbs ups.
Yeah, perfect. So it might be a little bit blurry for you because you don't understand as of now how does this exactly work. So that's what I'll right now do. I'll explain you how did this exactly work, right? So if we go to the login.js screen, you see that we put up the login or register thing over here. And when you click on login, what exactly happens is, show you the exact thing, components, auth checker, auth container, yeah. All right, so this is the button which you saw, sign in with Google. So when you clicked on this button, sign in with Google, at the very beginning, this on-click was triggered, as Hussein taught you extremely nicely that you can handle events using on-click and stuff in React. This sign in with Google function was invoked. Now let's go to the function. In this function, first what happened? This button was disabled. Obviously, you cannot click it multiple times, right? So when you click on the button, until the login process is finished, that button was disabled. So okay, I disabled the button using this set state. Now I don't need to explain the set state thing again because that was already explained. Now what I do, I call this sign in with pop-up function. Now this function is not written by me. This function is there in Firebase/authentication. I call this function. The parameters I pass to this function is the authentication instance and providers.google. Now how do I get this? So now at this point I'll explain you what it exactly was. So this authentication, as I promised you that I'll explain you again. So this is, I'm explaining you right back again. Authentication, I'm storing get auth in it. So I'm storing the get auth instance in this authentication, which obviously I'll be using it to get the user data. Like if you see when you log in, you get the name, you get the display pic of the user, you get the data of the user. So that all happens with this instance. And again, as I have passed, say it was in auth container, I have passed providers.google. So if you can see, I have passed Google Auth provider, instance of Google Auth provider to my provider so that I can get it over here. So this is the thing which returns that mail ID list you saw over there. It allows us to deal with Google sign-in. So that is completely built in Firebase. You don't have to think much on it. Just follow this, basic steps, boilerplate steps which Firebase tells us to follow. Everything is handled by Firebase itself. So I pass these parameters to this function. Now I have handled this promise. So as you know, .then is promise handling, as you have studied in basic JavaScript. Now what happens is, if my sign-in is successful, if I don't get any error, I am navigated to my basic logout page. That is my home page. If you can see navigate, I get this navigate through my use navigate, and I get use navigate from React Router DOM. As I explained to you in the beginning, all the routing in multi-page application is handled through React Router DOM. Okay, so if I get any error, then I display the error message which you saw in the beginning, like my API key was not being mentioned properly. The reason I saw you that red error is because I wanted to demonstrate this thing. When this doesn't work out, you get this error, and that button is enabled again. As you saw over there, that button was enabled again because set disabled was false. Okay, so now when you logged in, you navigated to this logout screen, as you can see over here. Let me close it off. This is a logout screen. I think, yes, that was it. That was just about how Firebase login works. You don't have to do anything else. Connect our backend application to front end, pass those values. And as you can see in Firebase.js, this is the main, game changer of everything. You export everything you require from this file. You export Firebase, you export authentication, you export providers. Okay. So there now, when I logged in, I was navigated to this particular page, and this was handled by all this logic was handled over here. But I mentioned that in routes, just one additional point I have to add over here, that if the route is protected, then only logged in users can go over there, right? Not everyone can. So where am I handling that? So I'm handling that in auth checker wrapper created in this template itself by Hussein. So I check, as I told you, that auth instance that we created over here, line number 6, gives us the information about the current user, that whether the authentication state is changed or whether the user is logged in. Everything is told to us by this auth over here. So look, that thing getting implemented over here. I am just checking whether auth.current user exists. If that current user is there, that means if the object is present, that means my login is successful. But as you can see, this is this not exclamation mark over here. If the current user is not there, then again push me back to login page, because I am prompting again my user to login. Getting it? Just that was it about the basic template. And the reason, guys, I explained you this before, like before starting with the application, is because I urge you to go through these files, understand how Firebase works, create your one Firebase project by yourself. It's all free until, like, you're not dealing with 50,000, 1 lakh requests. It's free until then. Go try this out, read this template, understand how this code works, because after 14 days, when we meet on 18, 19, we'll be starting a complete new application. So I wanted you to, get familiarized with how this thing is, because if I explained you that after 14 days, then it would have been a lot of all things together. So as of now, I have just covered the basic Firebase authentication, which I've shown you in implementation over here, like how I'm logged in over here. Get a hang of it, practice it, and then when we come back, we'll be, using all our skills, like React skills, Firebase skills. Obviously, we'll be learning Node.js as well in coming weeks, and we'll be creating a completely new application. So if you guys have any doubt, then you can put in the chat anything related to Firebase, or in the template if you want to ask anything. I'm here to take your doubts.
Also, guys, we have a quiz इसके बाद में.
इसके बाद we have a quiz on whatever I explained you right now. And let me know if I was a little fast, so that I take lessons from this and don't be that fast from next time. Any questions you have, you can put it in Discord, you can unmute. Any way it works. Okay, so okay, thank you, Rohan. Thank you for the feedback. Yeah, for some people, or I think most of you guys, Firebase was a new thing to deal with, right? So these are some tools, guys. Like, we don't have to code everything every time, right? Sometimes there are some BaaS or SaaS applications, backend as a service or software as a service applications, which we can incorporate into our application. So get a hang of it as you go on developing ahead in your life. As you go on coding, you'll realize that most of the things they are ready-made. You just have to know how to use them. Okay, that was automatic. Vatsal, like you don't have to do anything to open that to local 3000. If you want to avoid it, then there's a command browser is equal to none. But when you
Jay, I think वो बोल रहा है npm start.
अच्छा अच्छा
लिख
npm
देना एक
start
बार chat में.
okay sure. I thought you knew what npm start is. Then you are asking. When you run this command, this starts your React application and it automatically opens your React application on port number 3000. Yeah, you can try it out by yourself. And if you face any doubts while working on your own, then you have Kjsce Codecell community. We guys are active over there and we are ready to help you straight away. I think it's a time for quiz now. So then we. But again, guys, I think you did not thank Hussein in the chat. I told you to.
अरे किया sir. बस.
Acha. Yes. Because all this was so easy because of him only. Otherwise, that's a lot of boilerplate code to write.
Tanvi, I think you can start.
Should I? Okay, perfect. So guys, I'll be starting now. This is the quiz based on whatever Jay said and Jay explained, firewall and all. So make sure you get your concepts clear. In which file are the secret variables stored so as to not push them on GitHub? Is it package-log.json, node modules /keys.env or config.js? 2, 1, and we have the answer as okay. .env is the correct answer, and 8 people have answered it correctly. So congratulations. Okay, so okay, Hussein, okay. Okay, so we have Hussein, who was the fastest and is leading. Then we have Vatsal, Jay, God or what? Vinay, a God, and so on.
Guys, what is the obsession with our names?
Then we have question 2. Enter. Okay, which of the following is passed as a parameter to initialize app function of Firebase to initialize the app? So only API key of the project created or the app ID, nothing of Firebase config. Which one is passed as a parameter? 3, 2, 1, and thumbs up. Okay, so only API of the project created is not the correct answer. 7 people have put in that as the option, and we have 2 people who are correct. Firebase config. Jai, would you like to explain why?
Yeah, some people really need to go back to the recording and check what I told. If you have to pass the complete object Firebase config and not only API key, everything we have to pass.
Okay, so perfect. We'll go next. Okay, so we have the leaderboard. Vinay and Agasti were the 2 people. Okay, so we have Vinay leading and fastest was Agasti. Okay, but let's go ahead. Hussein got piche pad gaya. Question 3. Fastest way to get no points. Okay, which package in React helps in implementing router in React? Is it React-routers, React-DOM, React-router-DOM, or none of the above, as in the last 3? So which one is it? I think. Oh, all have answered and. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. This was a error on my part. What is the correct answer?
React router DOM is the correct answer, guys. You guys
I'm
were
sorry,
both.
people.
You
The
guys
4
were
people
both.
who answered correctly, I'm really sorry. So I guess the leaderboard will be the same as last. Extremely sorry. This happened yesterday as well.
I think the guy who answered fastest the wrong answer might get some points.
Sorry. Which function is used to access all the information about authenticated user? Is it get user data, get auth state, or is it auth only? Which one is it? 2, 1, and I hope I've marked the correct answer for this one. Yes, I have. Okay, so we have get auth bracket, which is the correct answer. 6 people have answered correctly. Okay, so let's go to the leaderboard. Who was the 6 people? Okay, amazing. Okay, so we have Vinay, who was the fastest and still leading. August D, Hussain God, Rohan, and so on. Okay, question 5, the last question, people. Okay, in order to sign in with Google for our web app, which of the following providers from Firebase Auth is used? Is it Google sign-in provider, Google provider, Google Auth provider, or sign in with Google? Which one is it? Time's up, and we have the correct answer as Google Auth provider, and 5 people have answered correctly. Congratulations. So let's see the leaderboard now. Okay, that's interesting. So I guess Vinay is the answer for Vinay is the winner for this one as well. Congratulations, Vinay. Then we have August D, Hussein Goat, and then Rohan. Congratulations, everybody, and thank you for being a part of this quiz. So we would like to end the session over here. Hussein, do you have a few words to say?
Yeah. I think I'm unmuted. Thank you so much, guys, for being over here and attending the workshop. There are still 2 more weeks to go, so we hope you to see you there, and we
Yeah,
will have
so
fun.
this weekend, the next weekend we'll be having a holiday for you guys. So you guys can basically implement all the knowledge which you have gained in these 2 weeks, that is the last week and this week. Create your own projects and obviously share them on our community. And if you have any kind of doubts in your own projects also, please let us know. If it is related to this workshop, we will definitely I try to include it in our next session so that if there are common doubts, we will solve them together. And if there are other kind of doubts, do ask us. We will definitely help you with it. So that's it. I guess thank you so much for joining us in this little thing we are going on with the month of month, week one,
One more
day
thing.
one. Okay, yeah, sure.
One more thing, just before I forget, Hussein, please share the link of the template with all the people. So
Yeah, Hussein, why you raised?
Yeah, yeah. Array, or also can you all share the feedback form and related
yeah,
to the tasks and homework, it will be emailed to you all tomorrow, I guess, before tomorrow or tomorrow. The tasks you all need to complete will be sent via mail, so make sure to check that as well.
Okay. Just a second. I will send the this form, feedback form. Yep, I have put in the feedback form. The recordings for the session you will be getting them later, like you got last week, because we have to make some edits in that. And so we excuse for this delay, but then you'll definitely they get them by like next 2 days or something. Okay, so I guess we can end it over here. And if you guys have anything to say, you can go ahead and mute yourselves. Otherwise, we have a Discord server to chat on. Perfect. I guess we have nothing to say. So I guess we can end the meeting over here. Thank you so much for attending and see
Thank
you
you
guys
for
after the
joining.
next week.
bye bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.